My name is Jon Stetson, and it's true. I know what you're thinking.
Next on this special edition of the magazine, Fairhaven's own and America's master mentalist, Jon Stetson.
Some people might be curious about is what exactly is a mentalist.
Yes, explain that, please, yes.
Someone who demonstrates feats of ESP, extrasensory perception. Do I believe in real phenomena? Absolutely, I do.
For over 40 years, Jon has been entertaining audiences worldwide with his intelligent, interactive, and sophisticated fun.
Breathing is a little hobby. Ease up on the nose just a tad.
Do you ever, in the course of everyday life, ever stretch the truth?
I try not to.
Okay. So when you tell these lies, do you think that people can tell just by looking at your face?
I sense your energy is tremendous. Have you ever had psychic experience before? No. You ever been home, the phone rings, you know who it is before you pick up? That's caller ID.
Along with hundreds of corporate appearances, Jon has performed for 3 U.S. presidents, the King of Sweden, the royal family of Monaco, and has appeared on several major television networks.
This, my friends, is astral projection. I will leave my body, go into the cup, look at the number, and come back. Okay, I'm back. And that's a 1.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a 1.
Oh my goodness. It is a 1.
Interjecting uproarious comedy into each program, Jon creates a hilarious and unique presentation that never fails to blow the audience away. Welcome to another episode of the magazine. Today, I'm very blessed to have a great guest speaker here, the one and the only Jon Stetson. Welcome, Jon.
Thanks, Charlie. It's great to be here with you.
Oh, thank you. Good to have you.
For a lot of reasons.
Yes.
We're doing this in the town hall.
We are.
And one of my big regrets in life, of course I wasn't born, that I was not able to see Bela Lugosi on this stage do Dracula.
Right.
Which he did, and a lot of people don't know about
Right.
the history of the theater that came here. And I actually made my stage debut at the Unitarian Church across the street. I was 9 months old.
9 months
They were
old.
terrified at how I was going to be, the same way anybody who books me is. And the only thing funnier than me playing baby Jesus was my mother being the Virgin Mary, but that's another story for another day. So yeah, and for many, many years, I did a children's show and even as I did it less and less, I would still come and do it every summer with the Millicent Library. And if I'm not mistaken, that went on for 30 years almost.
So your humble beginnings started right here in the town of Fairhaven.
On this street, my parents and grandparents lived on Center Street here. Yeah.
Excellent.
So, and as a little kid, I thought every town had buildings like these.
No, we're the lucky ones.
We are the lucky ones for sure. And as a matter of fact, I want to do a little more local history type of presentation. I do these theatrical seances.
Okay, explain that.
I've done, I was the official, like Houdini, they had these official seances, and I was a PR thing, and it was originally started right after he died to keep his name alive and all of that type of thing. So I've done that for years, and last time we were able to work live, really, well, not the very last time, but we were in Salem doing a thing called Seance 27, which was dealing with the 27 Club, you know, with Janice and Jimmy and Jim Morrison, and all kinds of nonsense happened in the dark. But I want to do a a Mark Twain seance here at
Wow.
one point. I think that would be a great deal of fun.
That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I bet you'd have a lot of people want to attend that.
I think so.
Yes.
And yeah, Twain's another great hero, and there are a lot of lessons we could have learned from him, but chose not to, I think. But there you go. Yeah, that is why we've always been so close here in town, my wife and I, and we've been very happy through the years with our dogs, and I traveled so gosh darn much. It was never. I feel like I have more friends, basically, all that has to do with business too, but in cities like Chicago and Los Angeles, in New York. I'll go there, and my quote-unquote dance card is full of, things I go to see or places or stuff, and I come home and it's like, okay, it's great. I've got a great porch I sit on and and love it. It never occurred to us, seriously, to move. Because I was on the road, a good 200 days a year average, but more than that usually for a very long time. And once again, we're talking about another 30-plus year span of that. So.
Wow. Well, everyone knows you as the Mentalist.
Yeah.
But prior to the Mentalist, and I definitely want you to explain some of that too, but prior to that, how did you get into this business?
Well, my mom's dad was a little eccentric, which I think is where I picked up that DNA, and loved all these kinds of things. And I had the love for magic since I was 5. I always say I wasted the first 5 years of my life. I sponged it off my parents. It was terrible. But I was 5. I kind of got my stuff together and started working on things like this. And my other grandfather was such a gentleman, and he knew so much about people, and he understood people, and just knew how to speak to people. But one of the expression, you can't cheat an honest man. This was he. And so when we would go places, and for example downtown Boston, we'd walk around and we would talk about people that we've seen, and and see, what do you think that person's doing? What do you that person thinking? Even. And so actually I did that sort of with both of my grandfathers, and that really led to a show that we were doing right up to pandemic. I had a show at the Omni Parker House that was called Mind Reading Confidential.
Oh, okay.
And it's based on people, on what you see. You never know who's next to you on the street. You could be standing next to the greatest pianist in the world, or a serial killer.
Right.
You just don't know. And so I love in a lot of these programs having people come up with facts about themselves that they don't think I would be able to know or reveal. And it came to that. And it was fun because I love history of all types, but especially show business history. But the Omni Parker House is was the oldest operational hotel in America. And great connection there. We did seance there as well, from a very interesting woman in that neighborhood, Marjorie the Medium. Boy, there's a lot to read about her. She was pretty interesting. And we did a Charles Dickens seance as well, because the Parker House was his American headquarters.
Oh, okay.
He didn't like America, but he loved our money. Sound familiar?
Yes.
And he thought that the Parker House was the most English hotel he could find.
Wow, that's great. So you said you had a humble beginning. Tell us about your first debut.
Oh, like I said, I was 9 months, so they were terrified that I was going to start screaming or something, and I was cranky backstage, which goes on to this day. I'm cranky, and I'm always, you could talk to some of the regular shows that I do, he's always cranky and crying about something, but you want everything to go beautifully.
Right.
Especially with this kind of entertainment. There's another show that we'd produced in Boston for a number of years called Mystery Lounge. That went on for about 20 years. And people would say, gee, I could use it as an open mic night or try something. And I go, well, no. And I'll tell you why. Many of the people who attend this show, it is the only time they'll see something like it in their entire life.
Wow.
It's not if someone sees a band and they go, oh, I didn't like the tunes they played, or I didn't think they were very good. The difference is they'll go see another band next week. They would not go see another, mystery performer, magician, mentalist, what have you, probably ever, or for another 15 years or something. So that's the big difference. So when people do get to see this kind of stuff, I like to hold it to a very high standard for that reason. It's it was fun. Like I said, the stage debut. Apparently, I was all cranky, and then when the curtains opened and the lights went on, I was fine. And it's still going on today. 60 some years later, the lights go on. I'm a happy kid.
Yep. So that's great.
As a matter of fact, as I had mentioned to David yesterday, when I go into my kitchen, I open the refrigerator, the light goes on, I do 10 minutes. It's, what can I say? It was just, and as in growing up, and this is another Fairhaven thing, really big, through my grandparents who raised me for the most part, I learned about the respecting your elders, and realizing that everybody has something to teach me. Yes, I do tend to wax on about things and talk a lot, but I do programs too for corporations based on the concept of communicating like a mentalist. And how silence is truly our best friend. And it's not a question of just listening to other people. It's a question of comprehending what other people are saying. Because as you well know, and we've talked about this, I vividly remember this, that people listen more to respond as opposed to comprehend or just see the point, feel the point, knowing where to go. So there are a lot of the skills of that type that really formed my career and made it a little different. The other thing is the elders in sort of mystery entertainment years ago did not think that someone should be or could be a convincing mentalist. Until you were older, until you had, maybe a little touch of gray, but basically just have experience with people and know how people feel. And when you go through these different phases in life, how it relates to people. Whereas in, say, a magic show, and I love magic. Don't get me wrong. I'll not so keen with a lot of it that goes on now, and I don't approve of the who am I of the YouTube type stuff. But it's the way of the world. It's how a lot of people are learning things and whatnot. So I go along with it to a certain extent, but I still believe in having and keeping secrets and having secret groups and respecting and honoring those people. And getting back to the concept of your elders, I know we spoke this for a second before we turned on here, that I had some real sort of Zen Karate Kid experiences with different teachers through the years. And when we're younger, we're all a bit more brash and whatnot. And on one hand, when you're 17, you have no qualms about saying, hey, how about letting me come to the White House? Or how about you doing this? Or how about me being on this TV show?
So have you been to the White House?
Yes, several times. Our first time was in '77, I believe. Mr. Carter was the president, and it was that was cool. But the fun appearances at the White House were with Mr. Bush Sr.
Okay.
And I had entertained him up in Maine, and being brought in to do shows in his living room.
Wow.
There, and sometimes when there would be an event of some type, there's a president, right? And I'm over here, and they go, move, the whole thing, and to have the president go to you, John. I go, hey, that's pretty badass.
That is. I have to say.
But I got to sit with him alone on 2 occasions.
Okay.
And one of them was really great because he wanted to show me a card trick. Actually, both times he wanted to show me something he was working on. And I'm like, Mr. President, I can't get over the fact that I'm sitting with you. Because not only are you the president, you are the head of the CIA, which pretty much means you know everything. And he looks and he goes, pretty much. And then we're talking about the dogs and stuff. I mean,
right.
And that's the other thing. Through this, whatever it is,
right.
I've been able to meet the most interesting people, go the most interesting places, have the most interesting experiences that you'd never at the beginning of all of this dream possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you become somewhat, popular flavor of the month or whatever flavor of the 20 years, and you just were asked to go places and do things, and the creative aspect was fun too, and part of that, like I said, every bit that has touched me, every experience that I've had. David and I did this wacky TV show thing at the beginning of cable here, and it was offensive enough to get us in trouble on several occasions locally, and we would just go in and do it. Dave can correct me on this, but he was learning his craft, and it served him for years and years. And now today doing this again, and we had our little thing, which took away any fear I ever had of having a camera on.
Excellent.
And that's a big part of it, and that's once again a Fairhaven.
Right.
The thing, and
so I have a hard question for you, although we might have already heard it. But what is your best experience?
I assume you're speaking about on stage.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what. There are a few different things, but most of those experiences that I carry and will carry with me when I go are not experiences that other people might think were that great. I met a lot of people who I never thought I would meet, including heroes and my heroes, and when guys I looked up to were sort of made me one of the boys, rite of passage kind of thing. That was huge, and there were a couple of instances both in where basically heroes of mine did not want to follow me. I know it sounds kind of creepy, but that gave you a feeling like wow, and like almost makes you feel like, gee, what else is there in life or in career? But rare traveling experiences.
Okay.
My time in Japan especially has always been, those are such great memories. And
Another Fairhaven connection, Japan.
yeah, yeah, we should talk about that too.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I'll tell you the greatest.
Okay.
And a lot, once again, there are quote unquote celebrity things. It was grueling. I had to go over to Jennifer Aniston's house, and basically,
tough
and
thing.
basically, I do this thing called the Ladies Only Psychic Party.
Okay.
Which started in 1905, and it is in my stead now. And so I've gone to places like this. So after we're doing that, reading their palms and all that kind of stuff. And people would say, "Oh, wow, that would be great." But no, I got to tell you, I was in Cambridge, where we had our Mystery Lounge show running, and the Masonic Hall. I was there. The Masons. Love the Masons. I am a Mason. Or am I not supposed to say that? Anyway.
You can say that.
Interesting how many great mystery entertainers throughout history were all Masons as well. But I meet the commander of the Salvation Army.
Okay.
Right there on Mass Ave, right near the fire station. And I'm across, because our show at the time started at 10 Tuesday nights, and I was in this diner coffee shop where I would go if I were alone, and just to read and have a cup of coffee and hang out for the show. And that night, the fellow comes over to me and goes, "Hey," and he was a gregarious kind of guy. And I'm like, "Wow, hi, blah blah blah." Sit down and stuff. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, our nightclub show starts at 10." And we over there goes, "Oh boy, we're having a special little thing tonight for members of the Army, and of course the regular gang that comes in and all that. And I wish I could afford to pay you." And I said, "Well, can you afford a cup of coffee?" And he goes, "You're kidding me." I said, "No, I'm more than happy to do it." So you get there, and you're getting these, and his wife was one like Susan B. Anthony, that look with the bonnet and the glasses and the whole thing, and she's belting out stuff on the piano, and he's got the bass drum, going on this thing. And at the time, as it's just nice as vanity sort of melts away through the years and and things, and your paranoia. Just sidebar, in show business, you get a standing ovation, right? And then you go, "Why didn't that guy stand?" Everybody but him. And you are hell bent on finding out what that guy. You don't know if the guy has no legs.
Right.
You don't know. You just don't know. So I'm doing this thing. Perfect. I'm doing this thing, and I feel I'm getting some looks from his spouse a little bit there, right? And I'm hanging around afterwards as long as I could, and I was about to leave. And I'm leaving, and she goes, "I want to talk to you." And I go, "What did I say this time?" My writing was a lot more edgy back in those days, and I'll explain why. Because we were living in somewhat of a smooth world at that time.
Sure.
So if we were a little more jagged, people would remember us more. We could get their attention. We would do this type of thing. But now the big change with everything is the world is jagged. So my style is smoothing it out, and it's the same, but it's incredibly different. But what happened at this American Legion Hall? She goes, "You see this guy? You see that guy who walked out of here and then came back in?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, he has been coming in here for 5 years. And in the 5-year period, he has not said anything to anyone." And this was a cold December night. He would come in, he would eat, and he would leave. And he said to her, I just want you to know something. I haven't laughed in 15 years. And tonight I laughed.
Excellent.
And he left. And I had a similar experience with a woman who's taking care of her husband in Florida with dementia. I don't know if it was dementia or not. So, but it was a neurological thing. She used to be Steve Allen's secretary.
Oh, wow.
So can you imagine her life being filled with laughs and stuff and everything? Because her husband was a big CBS executive as well.
Okay.
He becomes ill when he's 40. I bump into her, and she's 80. He's still alive through all these years. And she said the same thing. I haven't laughed in 5 years. So
Well,
thank you for that. And I used to blah, blah, blah. Those are the moments that are going to stay with me, and, you know, on my way out, those are the ones that are going to stick with me. But if if you want to, we can talk anytime about lots of great stuff
Yeah,
that has
absolutely.
happened through the years that I'm incredibly grateful for. And a lot of it came, once again, from having respect for my elders, learning from them, spending the time to be with older comics, especially, and in that aspect, it was a wonderful, full life. I think that we can all live to be 1,000 years old based on our experiences.
Well, John, I have to tell you about an experience that you inspired me.
Oh,
You did a fundraiser. It was big headlines, The Mentalist coming to West Island for a fundraiser. And that I had purchased 4 tickets for that. I'm very supportive of West Island and absolutely love West Island. And then like the day before, my mother fell and broke her hip. So I had said to my friends and my wife that, maybe I won't go tonight, because I just very concerned, and she's in the hospital, and my wife and my friends said, no, you need to come to West Island with us, and let's go. Well, I did. I got put on stage and selected, and we laughed. We took away a lot of the pain that we were experiencing, even just for a few hours. And I thank you for that.
Thank
because
you.
That was a very, very, we needed that.
and we need so much of that now.
Yes. Yes.
We truly do.
So I'm sure that COVID has affected you during these times. So maybe we could do a follow-up on that, because I'm sure you have a lot of information for people that would be very helpful for them.
I do, and I'd love to speak on that and let people know what they can do through these new mediums, and how we can adapt, and how it's not so tough to teach an old dog new tricks. And I've learned that firsthand, and it's been very, very exciting. Having reinvented things several times, if someone would have told me a year ago, looked into their crystal ball and told me what's going on here, I would have bet the farm that they would have been wrong on so many points. But yet, here we are.
Here we are.
So, yeah, we can love to talk about
And also, I know our viewers want to hear more about The Mentalist, and we're ending this show now, but I want to make sure that I have the opportunity to ask you more questions about The Mentalist in a future episode.
Okay.
Excellent.
I think that's great.
Well, John, I want to thank you very much for being a part of this, and thank you for all the great work you do and the many experiences that you've had, and many more to come.
Well, it's an honor to be asked to do this, and it's just a great feeling of home
Excellent.
for me. So
Thanks, John.
thank you.
Thank you.